Hello and good evening. Please join me in reciting the Scout Oath and Law, but first, our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now our Scout Oath. If you're in uniform, please Scout sign. On my honor, I'll do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And the Scout law: a Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Welcome everyone to the Five Rivers Council Eagle Recognition event. Tonight we strive to recognize 3 years, 2019, 2020, 2021 Eagle Scouts, of which there are 143. We also want to thank all of the volunteers that have helped those Eagle Scouts earn the rank. We want to encourage those Eagle Scouts to look ahead and commit to living life by the Scout Oath and Law. Before we get rolling though, a bit of housekeeping. Tomorrow, for those Eagle Scouts who can make it, we're between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. at Corning Community College. We'll be handing out the gift bags that you'll be seeing this evening. So please come up between that time frame so that we can see you in person, hand you off some gifts, including your mother, who will be getting a flower. This event is being recorded, and we'll post it to the YouTube so people can tune into it later on the Council YouTube page. Now, Eagle Scouts put forth a yeoman's effort in terms of earning the badge, earning the merit badges, being leaders in the troop, and conducting their service projects. But the event itself, and there's much support in the village behind them. This evening is supported by the corporate sponsors in the slide you see here. Many of them were able to support us, but we also get support from fraternal organizations and individuals. It's these contributions that help an event like this to take place and help us do the program that we provide. So thank you very much. I also want to thank the district committee chairs. You've committed time and efforts to seeing these Eagle Scouts through, all on a volunteer basis. Dick Van Brunt, Nick Ross, Nancy Potter, Connie Cummings, Peter Reef, Andy Wales, Mike McDougall, Debbie Rohde, Bill Wurz, Shannon Pan, and Gary and Linda Neely. I also want to recognize Chris Ziegenfuss, the Council Advancement Committee Chair. There are also a number of people volunteering on the Eagle Review Boards in each district, helping these Scouts get to the final rank. Thank you for your volunteerism. We can't forget the unit leaders, the parents, and even the Scouts and the troops that help with the project. I'd like to thank the Executive Board of Directors. So as I said, it takes a village. But lastly, this event's not possible without the event committee. Excuse me, I'd like to recognize Nancy Potter, Aaron Smith, Chris Ziegenfuss, Shannon Pan, Debbie Rohde, Scott Swinley, Chris Thurich, and yours truly. The event over 2 years was actually canceled, and so that committee was committed to doing some sort of event. And unfortunately, it's virtual, but we're happy that you're here, and we hope to see you tomorrow. It's through the technology of BSI Productions that we can pull this event off. Thank you, BSI out of Ithaca. So with all of those thank yous, I want to keep rolling into the event. We have a wonderful event scheduled. The accomplished speaker coming in. We have the gift bags to share with you from our Scout Executive, Brad Bodo. We have special recognition for a very dedicated volunteer and role model. And we'll close the event with a PowerPoint slide that lists all the Eagle Scouts over the 3 years. And it gives some pictures of the ceremonies and the projects. So please stick around for that. Tonight is about propelling young men and women into adulthood with the very best foundation we could muster through the scouting program. Every Scout has earned the Eagle Scout badge, but they also had to earn 21 merit badges are required. 13 of those are required. And they cover topics like first aid, citizenship in the community, personal management, environmental science, and on and on. There's also 8 electives. But I want to focus more on the rank badges. Now the Eagle Scout rank badge is very distinct. It has a lot of silvery lining and a purposeful use of red, white, and blue, and it looks different from a lot of the other ranks before that. But I wanted to focus tonight a little bit in my comments on the rank before, which is life rank, which you see on the screen here. The badge itself emphasizes a big red heart. And to me, I just wanted to point out that it's during this time frame that you did the work. You know, you're an Eagle Scout now, but while you were a Life Scout, you were doing all this work. You were putting together your project, and you were becoming a part of a community that you maybe didn't know existed. And it's that heart that kind of represents the Scout Oath and Law and slogan in practice. As you join the community, you learn that there's a lot of potential in the community, and there are leaders and volunteers like you bringing that potential to fruition. So if there's anything that you remember from my comments this evening, it's to please adopt the Scout Oath and Law in your life as guidelines, whether or not you remain in Scouting, and try to do a good turn daily. Moving on to the speaker portion. I'm speaking on behalf of the VP, the Vice President of Marketing for Chemung Canal Trust Company, Scott Hefner, a friend of mine and somebody that was really jazzed about being a sponsor on this event once he heard about it. He couldn't be with us tonight, but he did want me to say, he wanted me to mention that he wishes he could be here. Incidentally, the speaker that we had lined up could also not be here. John Yorio was lined up to be, for 2 years actually, has been lined up to be our speaker, but he was unable to because he, in positive outcomes, he got a job, was looking for a career change, got a new job, and has had to relocate his family. He's literally, I think, living out of a hotel right now. So we understand, we're still in communication. But this evening's speaker, true to his character, stepped up to help us out in a bind. So it's my pleasure to introduce Jason Potter. What we did is we recorded last Sunday a conversation between he and I. So I'll open with his background, and we'll lead into that conversation. Jason is an Eagle Scout out of Pack in Troop 83 of Canisteo, New York, where he was born and raised. Jason holds Vigil honors in the Order of the Arrow. Jason and I have shared a strong friendship for years after working at the waterfront Camp Gorton, where he actually was an honor camper in 1994. After graduating high school in Canisteo in 1999, he entered the U.S. Naval Academy and graduated as a commissioned officer in 2004. After graduating, he spent 6.5 years serving on 2 different ships based out of San Diego. Jason continues to serve as commander in the U.S. Navy Reserve. After serving at sea, Jason began his civilian career in 2010 as an analyst in the Pentagon. In 2015, he was hired by the late Senator John McCain to work on the Senate Armed Services Committee as a professional staff member. Jason continues to work on the committee, overseeing Navy programs, defense acquisition policy, and procurement law. His job includes co-writing laws and advising on budgetary issues. Jason lives in Washington, D.C., as you might expect, with his wife and 2 children, Quincy and Judson. I'm honored to have him as a friend, and I think you'll find that in his life he's accomplished a great many things, a lot of runway to go. He attributes much of that success to the foundation he developed here as a scout in the Five Rivers Council. So with that, I hope you'll enjoy this recording of our conversation from past Sunday. Hello, good morning, Jason.
Hey, Brett. Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. And how about you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's Sunday morning, and I wanted to thank you for taking some weekend time and the production team here for setting us up on Sunday to record this in advance. So thanks for taking that time.
My pleasure.
So we're here to talk about the Eagle Scouts that have earned Eagle for over 3 years now, because we have not really had an event. So there's 142 new Eagle Scouts since 2019. And I don't know how many of them are actually on the call tonight, but we have even our first female as of this December, I believe, past December. So you're speaking to them primarily, but we also have a lot of leaders. We have a lot of community members and volunteers. So as we kind of run through this, just have a casual conversation about your roots in scouting and your career and kind of how it set you on the right trajectory, and maybe you can still tap into some of the things that you learned throughout that experience. So let's start from the top. If you had to rate the scouting experience from 1 to 10, 10 being sort of the maximally valuable, uh, what would you say the scouting experience is and how it benefited you?
Sure, thanks. Let me just first say congratulations to all the Eagle Scouts. An amazing number. I know it's over 3 years, but congratulations to all of you on your accomplishments and your perseverance, and thank you to all the volunteers that helped you along your way, and it wouldn't have been possible without them. So this night, is for you, and I hope you enjoy this small, extra piece of recognition. But again, congratulations. Uh, so for me, it's obvious. This is an easy question. It's a 10 in terms of what scouting has meant for me, and how much I draw on it even today, just through my kind of time in high school to the Naval Academy to serving in the Navy, to now serving in the Senate in our government. There's lessons from scouts that I draw on every day, and I can't imagine sort of being where I am today without the foundation that scouting provided.
Thanks. Let's talk about your Eagle Scout project, your community service project back in the day. How was that process? What did you do? And what kind of came out of that you still utilize today?
Sure, yeah. So I'm from Canisteo, New York, and I was in Pack 83 and then Troop 83. And my Eagle Scout project was repairing and kind of refurbishing an old church shed in Canisteo. And so it was the project basically had to organize the material, lumber, new roof, landscaping, and then set up the work parties and work with the church to coordinate kind of all the pieces of it. And so I remember being kind of surprised not to do much of the work myself, and that, with the Eagle project, you're supposed to step back and just manage it and lead the team. So, yeah, that was my project, and it was probably 30 years ago, which is crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
You still utilize some of those, the things you learned. I'm sure you still have project management and a lot of bigger responsibilities these days.
Sure. Yeah. I was a naval officer. I was on two ships out of San Diego. I was a communications officer responsible for satellite communications and all of the different networks on the ship. And I was a navigator on my second ship and had a navigation team. Our job was to keep the ship safe, in terms of sailing. So sure, those are team sports. You're managing technicians that have skills. You're managing middle kind of managers, and you're leading them, as part of the bigger ship effort and what you need to get done. So that was certainly one part of it. At the Naval Academy, I was a company commander. I had 140 midshipmen my senior year that I led, and so they were broken into platoons and squads. It's kind of like the patrol system, and so I did draw on a lot of the same leadership and skills, and sort of just working with people to achieve common goals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and even today, it's teams are kind of how things get done. You learn how to work successfully as a team and as a leader of teams in Scouts.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, the patrol system. Yeah. So a lot of people were influential in you getting that Eagle rank. Is there anybody that's on the call this evening, the virtual event, that you want to say thank you to?
Sure. I mean, I think everybody, it's a community, and so I would thank everyone for what they do for Scouts, because it's sort of a living organization. And we had our time a while back when we were actually in Scouts as Boy Scouts. But my mother certainly has been instrumental in kind of everything I've done through the years, particularly in Scouts. And in the early days, even just like letting me borrow her car to get to these Scout meetings and get to camp and get to order the arrow things. and then picking up T-shirts. You know, when we did the Gordon Seals thing, she had to get them from Alfred to Camp Gordon. You know, on
Yeah.
Thursday night. Anyways, just things like that. And then she went on after I graduated high school to really uh, do a lot as a volunteer for Scouts and for our district and for the council. And so, yeah, love you, Mom. Thanks for all you've done for me and for Scouts. Uh, Obviously, there's lots of other adult leaders, Scoutmasters across the council, and that helped me along my way. My Scoutmaster was Steve Witherow for most of my time in Canisteo, and he was he and his whole family have been great to me. And the only other one I could go on and on, but Ranger Jim, I have to mention, it was a second father to many of us that worked on camp staff. And he saw me at camp from the time I was a Cub Scout, you know, through graduating high school and when I came back in college for a little bit. So, yeah, thanks to all of our adult leaders. You make a real difference. It'll stick with the boys and the girls in scouting, you know, as long as they live. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'll never forget, you know, those adult leaders and what they did for me.
I've Ranger Jim is also a father to me, father figure. Mr. Witherow is not my leader, but I know him so well just because he's so involved. And of course, Nancy has been mentioned tonight as one of the supporters of this event. So that's great. Let's continue with the Camp Gordon theme, the little waterfront here behind us. We learned a lot there. We worked together for many years, actually. And you're kind of talking about the theme of mentorship. And I just was remembering that we would often talk to the leaders that were there with their units. And a lot of them were interested in just kind of providing whatever roadmap we needed. So if we're interested in nature, somebody in the Nature Lodge was probably worked somewhere in environmental science and could explain what programs are out there, and we could go. They would offer shadowing. I know that happened for me at the waterfront. Do you have any experiences like that?
Sure. I mean, there's lots of leaders, and I would pick the brains of lots of, you know, folks that came through. And the lookout chair is a unique opportunity for us waterfront guys because they're stuck in that chair for an hour or something, and they can't leave, and
You're
so
right.
you can just walk up. And yeah, there's one Scoutmaster, and at the time, I think we were getting almost as many troops out of council as in council. It seemed like that would come to camp, and it was a Cheverly, Maryland troop, and he was a lawyer and federal prosecutor. And at the time, I was thinking maybe I wanted to be a lawyer, and so I asked him about his job and, you know, things he did, and then we kept in touch. And then the opportunity presented itself when I was at the Naval Academy, that was only maybe 48 miles away, to intern, and he set up an internship for me in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Greenbelt, Maryland. And it was about a month, but long enough for me to have a great experience and realize I did not really want to be a lawyer. And but yeah, I mean, things like that in, you know, our relatively rural area, you get exposed to folks from all over the country, East Coast, that do really interesting work, and it's a great opportunity where you get more out of camp than you put in.
Yeah.
For sure.
I remember a gentleman from the Rochester sea base for the Coast Guard. You know, especially when we were on the waterfront doing all of that, it was so much fun. And you know, I can't remember who that was, but they were more than happy to have me come up, visit the base, really get a feel for what it's like day to day. And that's just one example of so many people that were just there, kind of stuck in the tower. But yeah, always willing to help, and that's just, I think, one of the themes of this evening too. So it's nice to remember those folks, and even if they're not on here, hopefully they know that they were appreciated, and hopefully we can do that now too. So I explained your background and where you've gone through the military, and now you're a civilian. Got a couple of pictures are probably populated on the screen here, back and forth. Some of them your early career at camp, and then at the Naval Academy, and then you know, working with the late Senator John McCain, and there's pictures of you in the hallways of the Capitol building, probably on C-SPAN. Oh, very, very cool. But of all the images that strike me, there's this one image where you're on ice and you're bundled up in a big, huge, puffy coat, and I think there's a submarine right behind you. So tell me more about that particular experience, and then also just the kind of global perspective that you have now that, again, kind of is rooted in scouting.
Right. Yes, I could never imagine, kind of the job I have now when I was growing up. It's one of those things you don't realize even exists until you sort of start your career, and then doors open and you sort of make choices and end up, where you end up. I've been very fortunate to have jobs that I've always enjoyed. They've been hard in some cases, but so the job I have now is a staff member for the Senate, where my real responsibility is to oversee the U.S. Navy, their operations, the procurement of things, buying ships, buying airplanes, and then the budget that goes with that. And then, and so in this case, it's called an ice exercise, where every couple of years a submarine will surface through the ice inside the Arctic Circle, just to maintain proficiency and do scientific experiments. And so I was invited to witness it, and in order to witness it, I had to get flown, up to Alaska, to the northernmost regional airport in Alaska, and then on a seaplane that had ice skids that took me out. It's like, I don't remember Gary Paulson books, like Woodsong. Anyway, I remember it's just this really wild experience. And so you land this plane near an ice camp, which literally is a camp set up on the ice, and where their scientists are doing experiments and things. And then nearby, the submarine, they'd already broken through the ice. We went out to it, got on board, and spent the night aboard it, and they explained ice operations and how they operate with ice, and then break through the ice, determine the thickness of the ice, all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And then talk to the scientists at the ice camp from a lot of U.S. universities and things that needed to do work that you can only really do when the Navy sets up the camp.
Right.
And then anyway, we spent the night. The submarine broke through the ice in the morning, and then we got off and flew home. So really, fantastic, once in a lifetime opportunity to do something like that.
That is amazing. And you've shared those other stories of going to different parts of the world and experiencing those cultures, and I think that it doesn't all stem from scouting, but a lot of it probably does. At least the trajectory you started with, and the networking that you got, and I know it may help you get into the academies at a different rank, things like that. So it's just really cool to see what your hard work, which you've continued to do, but also what scouting kind of helped you prepare to do that hard work and be a classy character, right? You've got such cool stories about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I think, it's just the sense of confidence that scouting gives you. You accomplish things, and you believe you can do things that you didn't think you could before. Like all those merit badges and your project and the leadership positions, sticking with it when there's competing priorities like sports and other things. And then like a camp, being a lifeguard, where I did not think I could be a lifeguard when I was younger, and then to work through that and get the lifeguard certification. You sort of have a head of steam that a lot of other folks that are coming out of high school don't have, in terms of self-confidence and accomplishments, where if you stick with something, you're going to get it eventually.
Yeah.
So I think that sort of principle has helped me just sort of persevere when other folks may have had enough.
Yeah, right. That's good. This evening, I think we've had a really good conversation. And as I mentioned before, we're recognizing the Eagle Scouts, yes, but we're recognizing the volunteers and the community, and that sort of sense of all boats float village support. as we wrap up the conversation, is there anything in, parting advice or words you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I agree totally with that sentiment that it takes all these volunteers, takes all the parents' involvement, the scoutmasters, to make scouting real and to make the young men and women that are involved successful and able to meet all of their milestones and gain the skills that scouting provides. So, yeah, I just say thank you to everyone. I hope to our new Eagle Scouts, take a moment to let folks know how much you appreciate what they've done to help you along your way to get you to this point. And then, this is sort of just the beginning. You've got a great foundation. You've got kind of everything that I think our area can give you in terms of tools to be successful. As you go on to your next steps, I hope you stay involved in scouting and give back and recognize what a gift you have. And remember, you'll always be an Eagle Scout, and do your best to make both scouting and your community proud.
Great advice. Jason, I hope to see you in person next time, and I hope you have a good new year. Thanks for sitting down with me today.
Thanks, Brett. Yep.
Yep. Take care.
Thank you. Same to you.
Bye. I want to thank Jason again for his continued support of local scouting here in the area and for helping us out as a speaker. We'll be sending him a small eagle statue for his desk at work or maybe at home in recognition of his participation tonight. Thank you again, Jason. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Five Rivers Council Executive, Brad Bodo.
Thank you, Brett. I have the pleasure to serve as the Scout Executive and Chief Executive Officer of Five Rivers Council. I also am an Eagle Scout from the class of 1990, and I volunteer as an assistant den leader for my son's wolf den. I'm hoping that someday my son will be the second generation of Eagle Scouts in my family. One of the great pleasures I have in being a Scout Executive is the opportunity to review and sign all of the Eagle Scout applications that come through the office. It gives me the opportunity to connect with you all, see the projects that you've done, and really prepare to meet you at the trailhead. And what I mean by that is you started a journey. You're now an Eagle Scout. It's not the end, it's the beginning. So I'm meeting you at the trailhead of the rest of your lives. The world is going to view you as an Eagle Scout. They expect you to be a leader. They expect you to be prepared in different situations. They expect just a little bit more out of you than they do out of others. And I'll give you a great example. When I was in college studying archaeology, I took my first field school, and the first week of that field school, where we actually went to a dig site and did work, we needed to set up the field camp and prepare the excavation site for us to actually be able to dig. The professor divided up the class. One group went and cleared brush. One group worked on improving the road so that we could get the truck in further. And then there was me. He said, "Brad, you're with me." And then he told me, we need to set up a field camp. So we're going to put up some poles and string some tarps and put up some tents so that we can build a field laboratory, get shade from the sun, have some space to work. So first day I spent the day tying knots, lashing, stringing tarps. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I hadn't done that in a long time. Then the second day rolled around and the professor divided up the group again. One group went and cut brush. One group worked on the road. But Brad, you're with me. So I spent a second day lashing, tying knots, building a makeshift field camp. Third day rolled around and the same process continued, and the professor divided us up again, and it was Brad with me. At that point, one of the other students spoke up and said, Why is he always with you while we're doing all this hard work? And he looked right at that student and said, because he's an Eagle Scout. I know he is the only one here who knows that a good knot is not a bunch of bad knots put together. And when I tell him to do a square lashing, he knows what I'm talking about. You're going to experience through the rest of your life what it is to be an Eagle Scout. The world's going to count on you. Employers are going to see Eagle Scout on your resume, and you're going to get a shot at a job because they know the quality that was developed while you were working hard to achieve the rank of Eagle. There's a reason why only 4% of youth who join scouting become Eagle Scouts. It's a challenge. It's a lot of hard work. A lot goes into it, and you get a lot out of it. And when you took your Eagle oath, you swore to give back to scouting as scouting always gave to you. But it's our turn to give you something. We're going to be providing all of our Eagle Scouts with a gift packet. In this gift packet, there are several items. The first is a pen. This Eagle Scout pen is so that you have it to remind you in your daily life as you go about your work to follow the Scout Oath and law as you are in business, in school, whatever it happens to be. Second is an Eagle knot. This knot is worn on your adult uniform when you volunteer to give back to the next generation of Scouts as your volunteer leaders gave to you. There's a good turn coin. This is for you to keep in your pocket every day so that you remember to do your good turn daily. There's a bumper sticker for your parents that say, I'm proud of my Eagle Scout. Why? Because they're proud of you. You did a lot of work to achieve this accomplishment. And we want them to give the opportunity to brag to you about the world. And lastly, there's a carnation for your mother. It's hard to say enough about what our parents do for us on our trail to Eagle. They're there supporting us, helping us, transporting us. And we wanted to give you something for you to say thank you to your mother. Thank you very much for being here, and have a great night.
Thanks, Brad. That was great. And again, we'll be handing those out tomorrow at Corning Community College between 11 and 1 o'clock. So if you can come, we'd love to hand it to you in person. Otherwise, we'll get it to you another way. Before we get to the PowerPoint, the last segment of this evening's program is to recognize one of our most dedicated volunteers, to my knowledge, Mr. Dick Van Brunt. Dick Van Brunt has been, again, to my knowledge, over 40 years in the position that he's been in the Eagle Board of Review chair for one of our districts, the district that I actually was a scout in. And he's just recently stepped down after those decades of service. And it's not enough to really give back, but we're going to give him this statue in recognition of those years. And I just wanted to take a minute because he did see me through my Eagle Board of Review. And if you don't know this, the Board of Review is sort of the last thing that you do. It's a lot like the PhD defense. You do this big project, and there's this committee that you sit in front of and you explain. They grill you with questions, and you explain to them what you've learned and how far you've come. And it's sort of the final interview before you're given, the actual officially the rank of Eagle. And I remember going into Dick's office, which I think was above the motor. It was an automotive sales place, a dealership. And just as a 16-year-old kid, you're in a foreign place and just kind of uncomfortable going into this big important meeting. You know it's important. You don't really know who's in there. And Dick he's a tall man, not imposing. So. You walk in, you shake hands with all these adults, and they start asking you questions. But through it all, Dick was just a true gentleman and super supportive and warm, and you could just tell he was all in with his heart and just couldn't wait to support us and see where we would go. And so it's just really actually a distinct honor for me to be able to recognize him this evening. I don't know, Dick, if you remember me, but I remember you, and I just want to say on behalf of probably hundreds of Eagle Scouts that have gone through the review process with you, thanks very much for your years of dedication. And that's pretty much a wrap for the evening. As I said, there's 143 Eagle Scouts. We've listed them in the PowerPoint that's coming up next. So please stay through the PowerPoint. There's a bunch of slides. Some of them are Scouts at their board review or their Eagle Scout ceremony where they are handed the badge. Some of them are the projects before and after pictures, and some other just volunteers, hammering and digging and doing things for the community. So stick around for that. Please come by tomorrow if you want to pick up those packets. Again, Corning Community College from 11 to 1 o'clock. It will be cold, but you don't have to get out of your car, and we will be indoors at the Commons there. There'll be some directional signage too that you can't miss. So with that, I want to say thanks to everybody that helped us pull this off this evening off. Congratulate those Scouts. Remember the Scout Oath and Law. Take care of each other. Take care of your neighbors. And Happy New Year. Thank you.